Hello everyone. Welcome back to another video on my channel, the Taunville Middle School channel. So I have some very sad news. Some sad news. 4 days ago, apparently, on May 25th, 2025, the last surviving grandson of the United States President John Tyler died at the age of 96. Harrison Ruffin Tyler. And no, I did not make a mistake. Harrison Ruffin Tyler was the last surviving grandson of John Tyler, who was born in 1790. So it's kind of insane to think that a man who was living in the time of George Washington, who was 9 years old when George Washington died, who was born during George Washington's first term in 1790, had two living grandsons in the 21st century, and one of those grandsons just died 4 days ago. That's absolutely insane, but it really shows that our country isn't as old as we like to think it is. It shows that our country isn't as old as we like to think it is. It isn't as old as we like to think it is. And even though 1790 was 235 years ago, that's still a very short time. When you look at the bigger picture in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the whole history of the whole world, 235 years is only a short time period, in comparison. But still, it's hard to believe, honestly. It's hard to believe, because John Tyler was born in 1790. He was the 10th president of the United States. He was was 9 years old when George Washington died. He became president in 1841 when William Henry Harrison passed away, when William Henry Harrison passed away. And William Henry Harrison was only president for 31 days. He was only president for 1 month, and he passed away after getting pneumonia after drinking the DC water that pretty much, led to his demise. So John Tyler became president immediately when William Henry Harrison passed away, as John Tyler was the vice president. And John Tyler didn't really make a lot of mistakes as president, even though he vetoed a lot of bills. His own political party threw him out at one point. His own political party eventually distanced themselves from Tyler. His own political party, the Whig Party, eventually distanced themselves from Tyler. So, they distanced themselves from Tyler because they didn't like the way he was vetoing their bills. He was disagreeing with the cabinet members, but still, Tyler didn't make a lot of mistakes as president. He was actually a D-rated president in Mr. Beat's video, how he ranked all the presidents. Mr. Beat gave Tyler a D rating, so he had some good moments from his presidency. Like he annexed tech. Yeah, he was responsible for that. Like Mr. John Tyler was responsible for the annexation of Texas. So keep that in mind. John Tyler was responsible for the annexation of Texas. John Tyler annexed Texas. John Tyler was responsible for the annexation of Texas. Texas got admitted to the Union because of John Tyler. And and even though John Tyler didn't make a lot of mistakes as president, what he did afterwards during his post-presidency is pretty questionable, to say the least. Because John Tyler joined the Confederacy during the Civil War, and he was about to serve in the Confederate Congress, but he died in 1862. But he died in 1862 before he could do so. So it's really hard to believe, honestly. So John Tyler passed away in 1862 before he could join the Confederate Congress. John Tyler passed away in 1862 at the age of 72. Yeah, 72. Or was he 71? Let me check. Hang on, let me check. He was 71. Okay, he was 71 when he passed away in 1862. However, before John Tyler died, he was married 2 times. His first wife, Letitia Christian Tyler, died in 1841 or 1842. Let me see. Yeah, Letitia Christian Tyler died in 1842. So then he married Julia Gardner Tyler in 1844 when he was 52 years old. So he married Julia Gardner Tyler in 1844, and they had 7 more children, which gave John Tyler a total of 15 children completely. 15 children in total, which is the highest amount of children that a United States president ever had. John Tyler had the most children, had more children than any other president, having 15 children. And his youngest child was born in 1860 when John Tyler was 70. His youngest child, Pearl, died in 1947, 157 years after John Tyler's birth. However, one of John Tyler's youngest children, his 13th child, Lyon Gardner Tyler, was born in 1853. And when Lyon Tyler was 8 years old, his father, John Tyler, passed away when he was 8 years old. And then his mother moved the whole family to Staten Island, where I live, in Staten Island, New York. You know, there's actually an elementary school in Staten Island that's named after John Tyler. Yeah, in 1862, Lyon Tyler and the whole Tyler family, Julia Gardner Tyler, moved the Tyler family to Staten Island, where I live, in Staten Island, New York. And there was actually an elementary school in Staten Island, New York, named after John Tyler. So that's pretty cool, honestly. And Lyon Tyler himself followed his father's footsteps. He became a professor at the College of, let me see. He became a professor at the College of William and Mary, and he was critical of Abraham Lincoln. And then Lyon Gardner Tyler followed his father's footsteps. His first wife, Anne Baker Tucker Tyler, passed away in 1921. So then he married Sue Ruffin in 1923, and they had 3 children, giving Lyon Tyler a total of 6 children. So Lyon Gardner Tyler Jr. was born in 1925. His first child with Sue Ruffin. His second child, Harrison Ruffin Tyler, was born in 1928. And their third child, Henry Tyler, was born, but Henry Tyler died in infancy. Their third child, Henry Tyler, was born in 1931, but Henry Tyler died in infancy. So that gives John Tyler 2 living grandsons in the 21st century. Lyon Gardner Tyler Jr. passed away in 2020 at the age of 95, and Harrison Ruffin Tyler lived until 2025, until 4 days ago, May 25th, 2025, when he was 96 years old. He lived a long and accomplished life, lived very long, so it's pretty cool that John Tyler had a living grandson up until 4 days ago. In 2025. That's absolutely insane to think about. To think that somebody who was living in Virginia, a 94-year-old man living in Virginia, had a living grandson during the time of George Washington. Had a living grandfather during the time of George Washington. That's actually pretty insane to think that someone who was 90. That's actually pretty insane to think that someone who was 96 years old, living in Virginia, had a living grandfather that lived during the time of George Washington. That's absolutely insane, and yet it actually happened. It's absolutely insane that it actually happened, but it actually happened. It's actually insane to think about, you know? Just shows how young the world is. Shows that history is more closer to us than we think. You know, shows that long ago isn't really that long ago in the grand scheme of things. That's absolutely insane to think about, you know? But yeah. Rest in peace, Harrison Ruffin Tyler. You will be missed. Yeah, and I wish the Tyler family the best going forward. Yeah, so it's absolutely insane to think about, you know? Harrison Ruffin Tyler was a chemical engineer, a businessman, and preservationist who co-founded Chem Treatment Incorporated, a water treatment company. and he played a role in preserving historical sites such as Sherwood Forest Plantation and Fort Pocahontas. So it's absolutely insane to think about. Not only is Harrison Ruffin Tyler a descendant of John Tyler and Julia Gardner Tyler, but he's also a great grandson of Edmund Ruffin, a descendant of Benjamin Harrison IV, a descendant of Robert Carter I, and Pocahontas. So it's pretty cool to think about. Just shows that long ago isn't really that long ago. But yeah, rest in peace, Harrison Ruffin Tyler. You'll be missed. And now you can finally meet your grandfather, John Tyler, for the first time in heaven. Who knows? But yeah, take everybody. Rest in peace, Harrison Ruffin Tyler. Hope everybody's doing well. Take everyone. And I wish the Tyler family the best going forward, and my condolences go out to them. And I wish the Tyler family the best going forward, and my condolences go out to them. Take everybody. Rest in peace, Harrison Ruffin Tyler.